Welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and I'm not gonna lie, this has been a busy time, a very busy week for me in the Lumiose Post household. So because of that, I wanted to just kind of do some more rant, podcast-esque videos. I promise I got the theories cooking, and they will be coming. But honestly, one thing I wanted to touch on this week was just something that I noticed through the Indigo Disc, and that is that, you know, are black and white remakes coming? I wanted to touch on this. This has been a topic for, my goodness, I think since the summer of last year. This has been a topic ever since then, so I wanted to circle back to that topic and talk about the state we're at now, because I think there's multiple ways to look at this. You know, for one, you could look at what's going on with the Indigo Disc and say that it's proof there are black and white remakes, but also you could look at it and say it's proof that there's not going to be black and white remakes. Allow me to explain. So I actually put out a short a while ago. I think it's the latest short that I've put out on this channel, and it is talking about how, you know, GameFreak likes to reuse assets. We've seen this in the past. Nothing wrong with that. That's actually pretty standard stuff in, you know, the video game industry. I mean, it just makes sense, right? Why rebuild something when you can just move it over from the last thing you made? But so there's an argument to be made that maybe these Unova themed areas in the Indigo Disc, specifically we have the Chargestone Cavern, which is very clearly a direct nod to the Chargestone Cave in Unova, as well as the I don't remember the name of the area. I think it's just Canyon Biome. Is like it doesn't have a special name, but in the Canyon Biome is a part of it that is literally identical to the Nature Preserve, which appeared in Black 2 and White 2. So you see these Unova areas appearing in the Blueberry Academy, and in World, obviously the explanation for that is, you know, it makes sense, right? You're in the Unova region, the Blueberry Academy is in the Unova region, so it makes sense that they would take some resources and kind of make artificial versions of the spots in Unova, right? That just makes sense. But in a out of world reason, you could make the argument that this is GameFreak going ahead and building these assets so they can just reuse them in the 2024 game if it is a black and white remake or a Unova game. I do think there's a chance that we could see a Unova game that is not a black and white remake, just because I don't think it'll be Black 3 and White 3, because you do have to re-release Black and White and Black 2 and White 2 if you want to do that, whether that be a direct remake like Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, or if that's like them patching them over to the Switch. But either way, that's just so complicated. So I think it could be a new story that happens to take place in the Unova region, and is not a sequel to the other games. It is just like an adjacent story, you know, like Legends Arceus. Legends Arceus did not need Diamond and Pearl or Platinum to make sense. You know, you did not need to play Diamond and Pearl and Platinum to make sense of Legends Arceus, but it was set in that region, so I think they could do something similar. But regardless, the point is, you could make the argument that these assets are being put in here, as well as the numerous Unova Pokemon that have been added into the game, like Enteel Mask, you know, Leavanny and Minshower added, and then in the Indigo Disc, the starters and the legendaries were added, specifically the Kami Trio was already in there, so it was really just the Swords of Justice, Zekrom, Reshiram, and Kyurem that they added in. And then also Keldeo. They also added Keldeo as well, so though that's a member of the Swords of Justice. So you could say that they're laying all this groundwork so they can just reuse it later, and that does kind of make sense, you know, especially if Game Freak wants to keep to this whole yearly release thing that they've kind of been doing for a while now, since Sun and Moon. You know, there's going to need to be some changes in their system and their how they're doing that. So going ahead and kind of building assets in a DLC that they can reuse later makes a ton of sense. Now, the flip side is that very recently we had a podcast live stream over on Hidden Power, which is my podcast with Dusty Go-Goat and Soul Silver Art. And we did a big live stream for the holidays, and we had a bunch of creators on, and I believe it was Birdkeeper Toby. I apologize if it was not, but mentioned that, you know, it could be all these Unova hints that we were getting over this course of time was actually a hint to the Blueberry Academy. and there are no, you know, there's not going to be a Unova game because they've given us so much Unova love. Why would there be a Unova game? You know, that's kind of the argument, paraphrasing, of course. And I think that that's a very interesting discussion, honestly, because, like I said, the Nature Preserve was remade 1-to-1. The Chargestone Cave, while it was not remade 1-to-1, it was remade, like, you got a very realistic homage to it. So, I could see the argument of, like, why would they give us that if they don't want us to, you know, see it? If they, you know, why would they give us it now, and then we're going to see it next year? You know, that's kind of dumb. In a way, you could make the argument for that. But then also, this whole video, I'm not going to get to a conclusion, just so you're aware. I am just literally discussing that there are so many different possible outcomes. There's so many different arguments for why Unova's coming, and so many different arguments for why Unova's not. You also could make the case that there could be some hints for a while now at what a Unova game could look like, you know, now. You know, because the big deal with Unova is that it changed, right? It's the only game to have a sequel. So there was Black and White and Black 2 and White 2. And so the issue is you can't remake Black 2 and White 2 without needing to remake Black and White or patch it over or something. But then likewise, if you remake Black and White, there are so many features from Black 2 and White 2 that wouldn't be in the games and would kind of need to, because honestly, Black 2 and White 2 was the more popular game. It may not have sold as well, but it was more popular in terms of fan reception, and the iconic characters are typically from Black 2 and White 2. You know, I think about how Roxy is very iconic. I think about how when people say Charon, they're talking about the design from Black 2 and White 2. Very rarely are people actually referring to the design, and like the one that pops in your head when someone says Charon, it's usually the design from Black 2 and White 2, not the design from Black and White. Colress, that's another character that's kind of a fan favorite that came from Black 2 and White 2, was not in Black and White. And then also there's the whole confusion of Black 2 and White 2 and Black and White have different gym leaders. So it's a thing of, if they are going to do a Unova game that is not Black and White or Black 2 and White 2, well, what are the gyms? And I think Pokemon's actually given us some hints at what those gyms are. You know, so first off, also Elite Four members as well, because we do know that Grimsley retired. In Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, you learn that Grimsley has retired and is enjoying his retirement in the Alola region. So that means that Grimsley is no longer an Elite Four member. Now, who would replace Grimsley? I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea who could replace Grimsley. I don't know who the best bet would be. Bingo would be kind of cool, but the issue is Bingo's ace is a dragon, and Iris, if she's the champion, her ace would be a dragon. Ideally, if we can get into some speculation here, ideally, I think it would be cool if Bingo now is the champion. And uses a mixed team, and maybe Iris is demoted down to an Elite Four member. The only reason I think that would be neat is because, like, Iris took the championship spot from Alder, and then Alder's grandson kind of avenges him and takes it from Iris. I think that would be neat, but it isn't mandatory. It isn't like I'd be upset if that, you know, didn't happen. But I don't know who could fill that Elite Four spot other than a change-up like that. We do also know that, you know, Bryson was getting, the Ice-type gym leader, was getting more into acting. So you can very easily explain that Bryson is no longer a gym leader because he decided to pursue a career in acting. That's really easy. Then you could move over to Alessa. So the thing is that the Indigo Disc introduced us to the character Lacey, and Lacey, we know, is Clay's daughter. However, there are some theories that Lacey is also Alessa's daughter. Now, there's not a whole lot to go off this, but just bear with me for a moment. First off, it says that Alessa is from Nimbasa City, which happens to be the hometown of Alessa. I might have said Alessa there. I meant Lacey. Lacey's from Nimbasa City, which is where Alessa is the gym leader. Clay is the gym leader in Driftvale City, so it seems weird that they didn't say Lacey's from, you know, a Driftvale City. Now, I will say, in fairness, Driftveil City and Nimbasa are right across the bridge from each other, so it's very possible that Clay lives in Nimbasa and commutes over to Driftveil. That's a very real-world thing, right? But just something interesting to think about. She also, the very first 2 Pokemon she battles you with before you battle her as an Elite Four member and you're battling her just as a fellow student at the Academy, she uses a Plusle and a Minun. 2 electric types. She also has the little earpieces, and Alessa does have like little earpieces in her black 2 and white 2 design. Again, it's not a ton to go off of, but it's an interesting thing. And I say all this to say that if that is the case, if Lacey is Alessa's daughter as well, it's interesting that Serrano, when he introduces us to Lacey, says that her dad is a gym leader. He doesn't say anything about both their parents being gym leaders, just her dad. I say all this to say that there's a chance that Alessa is retired. You know, she decided to just go full on into modeling, or, you know, frankly, Clay, he makes a lot of money. He's a businessman. Maybe she just retired because she's wealthy now. But either way, the point is, I could see Alessa retiring as well. So that's 2 gym leaders that, you know, are kind of out of the picture now, and you can easily replace them with Marlin and, say, Roxy. Then I would say that if you look at Silent, Chili, and Cress, you could easily retire them and say that they are no longer gym leaders and are just running the restaurant. You know, they did have this thing where they kind of were super depressed at their defeat by the Shadow Triad, so I could see that being the case. And if that is the case, again, that makes more sense for why Marlin would be a gym leader, right? Because if you pick Tepig, then you would battle 2 water-type gym leaders. You would battle Cress and then later Marlin. So they've kind of got to get rid of one of those, and I would say that Silent, Chili, and Cress makes the most sense. Then the one difficulty you have left is that means that Cheren can fill the role of Silent, Chili, and Cress, but that means there's 2 normal-type gym leaders. There's Cheren and there's Lenora. I say just change Cheren's type. Cheren, in Black 2 and White 2, he did not use normal type, or in Black and White, excuse me, he did not use normal type Pokemon. He used, you know, a bunch of different Pokemon. So I say that he do that, and maybe, I don't know, maybe if you connect your game to the old game somehow, like if you bring in a Pokemon or something, he will use his old team. I don't know. That's just off the top of my head. They did that with Black 2 and White 2, so I could see them doing something like that here. But either way, I think you can just change Cheren's type. I think a Psychic type would work really, really well, to be honest. That would mean that your gym leaders are the Psychic type Cheren, the, not necessarily in this order, the Poison type Roxy, the Bug type Berg, the Ground type Clay, the Water type Marlin, the Dragon type Drayden, and the Flying type Skyla. So, but that's only 7. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Lenora, of course, our normal type gym leader. You could also, because Lenora is, you know, at that museum, you could even keep Cheren as the normal type gym leader and make Lenora a rock type gym leader now. You know, she is at the museum where you restore your fossils. There's a lot of fossil related things there. So she could become a fossil user. And it'd be kind of cool to see her do double battles and use like both Archeops and Carcosa. It's like a double ace situation. But either way, you know, that's just speculation. Like I said, there are things that are put in place that kind of show that Unova's changed, and, you know, we could get a new experience in Unova so that we're not leaning more towards Black and White or more towards Black and White 2, right? I think that would be really neat, but to each his own. Some people may not be for that. I do also think that, you know, we could see some Black 2 and White 2 features pop up because those features are always talked about, right? Like the Pokestar Studios. That is something that is directly referenced by a character's shirt in Scarlet and Violet. So it's funny how they're trying to keep that stuff alive if they're just going to completely abandon it later, you know? The World Tournament is also beloved. Now there are a lot more characters that would now have to fill in there, right? Because the interesting thing about the World Tournament is that it used anyone who's ever been a gym leader and anyone who's ever been a champion. So, like, even though Lance is no longer, or Red is no longer the champion and Blue is no longer the champion, they are in the Champions Tournament. Giovanni, no longer a gym leader, he is in the Gym Leader Tournament. So, likewise, that means that you would have to add, you could easily leave out all the Sun Moon characters, because technically speaking, you know, the champion is the player character, so you know, don't need to have them here. And then also there are no gym leaders. It's just trial captains. So you still, though, have to take all the Kalos gym leaders and Diantha, the champion. You then have to take all of the Galar region gym leaders. And the thing about that is that means there's more than 8. There's actually 10. Because you have 8 depending on whatever version you played, but then 2 of them are version exclusive. So, like, you have Alistair and Bee. You have Melody and Gordy. So, you see, also Clara and the other guy whose name is completely blanking me right now, they also are, I think it's Avery, they also are both, I think, gym leaders. It's never officially stated, but, like, they always kind of felt to me like the unofficial psychic and poison type gym leaders. But then also, you have Peony. Peony was at one point a gym leader, steel type gym leader. Also, Peony, Mustard, and Leon, all of them were champions. So you have to have, you know, you see what I mean? It gets really, really messy, right? Then you look at, here, Scarlet and Violet. Well, there's no one champion. Would Nimona, Gita, and everyone who's ever become champion rank be there? Probably not. I imagine it would just be Gita. But it'd be cool to have Nimona, too. Either way, though, you get what I'm saying, and just, there would be a lot to kind of cover in the World Tournament, so I could see them kind of scrapping that altogether, but that is a fan favorite feature, and definitely is, like, objectively one of the coolest things Pokemon's ever done, so I think it would be neat. But yeah, I just wanted to, again, talk about what a Unova game could look like. Again, I don't think that it would be a Black and White remake or a Black 2 and White 2 remake, but a new story set in Unova. We also do have the teases of, you know, Briar saying she wants to make Terrestrial exist in other regions. I think that could be a hint that maybe Terrestrial would continue over in Unova. And maybe they expand on it by giving Pokemon special Terrestrial states, similar to how Terapagos has a special form that it takes on when it terrestrializes, or Ogerpon kind of has these special forms that it takes on when it terrestrializes. So again, just something to think about. Let me know, though, what you think. Do you think that maybe all these Unova hints was just about Blueberry Academy? Or do you think Blueberry Academy is just one giant hit at Unova games next year? And if so, what do you see them looking like? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss all of our future videos. And until next time, I will see all of you later.